While some of us are still in quarantine curfew, on Kaleidoscope today I thought of taking you on a virtual tour of the Dutch Hospital in Colombo, the oldest building in the Colombo Fort area, believed to have been built in 1681. Welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savithri Rodrigo. In its time, the hospital showcases typical 17th century Dutch colonial architecture and looked after officers of the Dutch East India Company. Patients slept on mats or mattresses and their clothing was imported from India. The hospital had a canal that ran alongside which was filled up by the British and is now called Canal Row Lane. Now, ahead on our show, in our exclusive interviews, is the Vice Chairperson of SLASCOM, Sandra De Zoysa, Chairman of Siam City Cement Lanka, Nandana Ekanayaka, that's both on our People's Back News capsule. On Singer Life in 60 is musician and dog trainer Melissa Stephen, and Iron Woman, award-winning tech entrepreneur Lakmini Vijayasundara, the founder and CEO of Iron One Technologies and Board Pack, joins us on Selinco Life. Let's talk. Much to discuss, much to share, and we'll be back.
Technology is key in moving forward to transform every challenging moment into a profit, where manual becomes digital, business becomes smart, and lives become smarter. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. It's truly the change you need.
The week has been quite eventful, and here's a snapshot. It was election week in the US and a new president seems to have been voted in. New Zealand appointed its very first Indigenous female foreign minister, Maori Nanaya Mahuta, and she was also the first female MP to wear the traditional tattoo on her chin when she came into Parliament 4 years ago. The iconic Robinsons in Singapore is closing its doors after 160 years in business. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka forecasts GDP shrinking by 1.7% in 2020, but will recover to 5% in 2021. The 20th Sri Lanka Economic Summit, hosted by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, will host its first ever virtual summit in December. Indian billionaire Gautam Adani's Adani Group may be the front runner to develop Sri Lanka's East Container Terminal. Around 100 pilot whales stranded on the Panadura east coast were pushed back into the sea in what must be one of the most successful beached whale rescues ever recorded. And Master Blaster Sanath Jayasuriya, who was banned from all cricket for 2 years on the ICC's anti-corruption code, is back in the fray. Will he be back as a player, a coach or selector? Time will tell. A constant refrain in most industries is that while the industry itself has been doing exceptionally well, female representation is low. This is true of the country's IT conglomerates, where tech-based entrepreneurs have low female representation. Sri Lanka's National Chamber for the IT BPM industry decided to take the bull by the horns and change the paradigm. It formed the Women Technopreneurs Forum to create positive change across the tech startup ecosystem and to support, promote, and grow women entrepreneurs. I asked Vice Chairperson of SLASCOM, Sandra De Zoysa, how women may actually work their way into this space.
So if you are someone who has a business, who's looking to sort of go online and use other platforms, digital platforms available, technology and tools available, then you can adopt to those. The other is if you are someone who has an idea and thinking about starting up a business, you can also learn about these technologies and platforms and how you can use technology to further your business. And a lot of online courses are available these days also for free. So that is another possibility. Now the third category I would think are those engineers who've actually studied technology and they have been working but now feel like that they want to take the path of being entrepreneur and use technology in order to be able to further their business.
Despite the quarantine curfew, the stock market rebounded this week as investors showed signs of renewed optimism. The all share price index crossed the 6,000 mark on Thursday. This week, the indices moved up by 4.8% and the average daily turnover increased to 2.9 billion rupees. Meanwhile, WTI crude was at $38.79 per barrel, down roughly by $2 per barrel compared to last week. Gold was trading at $1,906 per ounce at the end of the week, up slightly from last week. What do you do when plastic carbon pens have no more ink? Or it is time for your toothbrush to be thrown away? Have you ever wondered what that plastic does to the environment? There are nearly 30,000 kilograms of empty carbon pens being dumped annually by schools, and INSEE Cement Sri Lanka, together with the Ministry of Environment and the CEA, are launching a project where discarded carbon pens and toothbrushes will be collected by INSEE's waste management arm, EcoCycle, for recycling. Chairman of Siam City Cement Lanka, Nandana Ekanayaka, explains.
Recently, we launched a project together with Ministry of Environment and Atlas Stationery Manufacturing Company to collect ballpoint pens and toothbrushes discarded by school children and their families. For this purpose, we will install boxes in schools and go and collect them on a regular basis and bring them to a sorting center. Whatever the components which can be recycled will be given back to the Atlas Manufacturing Company to be used in their manufacturing process, and the rest will be burnt in our kilns. This type of plastic will not decay even after 100 years if you release them to the natural environment. Currently, we are doing it through educating children and instilling discipline, but in the future, the government will bring in legislation to make it mandatory for producers of such items to find a solution for safe disposal also under the concept of extended producer responsibility.
Here's another whale of a tale. A runaway Dutch metro train was saved from disaster when it smashed through a stop barrier but came to rest on a giant sculpture of a whale's tail. Instead of crashing into the water 30 feet below, the front carriage was suspended rather dramatically in the air. The artwork is called Saved by the Whale's Tail. Well, that was a job well done. This club was dead from the start, but some neighbors wanted it buried anyway. Halloween became quite gory for this homeowner when her portrayal of a skeleton strip club saw the wrath of some of her neighbors who wanted it buried immediately. And with that visit to the Rattle and Roll Club, we end our People's Bank News capsule this week. Up next is Lakmini Vijayasundara, truly an iron woman in Sri Lanka's technopreneur industry, on Selinco Life. Let's talk.
With Selinco Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for a retirement today. Selinco Life, a relationship for life.
Working in a man's world is not easy for women, especially those from this part of the world where social norms dictate a woman's role at home and at the workplace. However, breaking those barriers is seemingly easy for Lakmini Vijayasundara, who founded Iron One Technologies and BoardPack, which today has expanded with offices in the USA, Malaysia, South Africa, India and Sri Lanka, and has a client portfolio using BoardPack in over 40 countries. Immersed in tech from her young days, with both her mother and uncle Upali Vijayawardena being the inspiration for her entrepreneurship, Lakmini's Bachelor of Science in Electronic Engineering and Computer Science from University College London and an MSc from Imperial College saw her enter into the challenging ICT arena with her simple yet determined smile. This technology entrepreneur is totally focused on making Sri Lankan tech products gain global recognition, and it's not easy. But she's made great headway. Given COVID times, I caught up with her on a Zoom chat. Lakmini, how difficult is it being a woman entrepreneur in Sri Lanka?
That's two questions really. So as a Sri Lankan entrepreneur, there are a lot of challenges because Sri Lanka doesn't have an ecosystem or a large ecosystem yet, and resources are very scarce. So we have to look at global and that kind of thing. As a Sri Lanka, as a woman, of course, I haven't had such an experience, or I'm not aware maybe, because I am going for the course, and whatever the challenges, it seems like everybody's having those challenges.
You are in a male-heavy industry. How has that worked for you, the advantages and the disadvantages?
So ICT or technology is obviously, as you mentioned, a male dominant environment. From the time we went to school, university, it was constantly this environment. I didn't particularly realize it. I just thought it was the way. But as we move along, I mean, the recent times, I do realize that it could be equal. Like there could be women equally placed in these, because I don't really see a challenge at work, really. I mean, women can do this work as well as men. But it's more social activity, because women, as you know, take up a bigger role in family and society, and that's a socially accepted norm. So those of us who have broken it have actually broken the social norm that is currently prevailing. So that's really up to the society. I mean, you know, the society has to be ready to have women sticking on in careers and things like that. But really, I mean, from a work point, I am not seeing a difference apart from less women in industry.
Being in an industry where there are few women, what do you think are your strengths that has made you succeed?
My mantra is I dream, I visualize that I'm winning the dream, and I just go for it. It may be cliche to say I never give up, but I really don't give up. So whether COVID came or whatever, I'm just talking about COVID right now. So my team from September onwards, pretty much I said, you know, if you want to have this job and for us to continue as if, you know, normal, we have to work double, whatever it takes, and get the same results. So it's up to us. We got to be smart. Essentially goes down to, I mean, you have to have a big enough goal, let's say. It can't be something small because there's no fun in it. And then never give up.
What or who has been your biggest supporter and inspiration to actually get you where you have got now?
I have to say that everything starts off with my mother. I mean, she's classified as a housewife, let's say, in her time. But she was certainly not just a housewife, because she was constantly an entrepreneur. So my brother brought in all these ideas, both my brothers. And she's the one who set up all these companies. So there was like fabrics for handloom, sending stuff to Scandinavia. We were looking at these very unusual designs for handloom, all sorts of things, from dairy farms to cinnamon. She grew cinnamon and rubber in places that nobody thought, you know, she cut the coconut and did cinnamon and rubber. And of course, my mother's brother, now I look at him as an inspiration, because Upali, Vijayawardena, even up to now, I think younger generation may not know him, but people probably know his brand Canvas, which is still there. But he did amazing things at a time that, you know, traveling overseas itself was a luxury. And he brought in like Learjets, and he really showed us how to live it up, and that it's possible, you know, in a third world country like this, that nothing is a barrier. Because right now, being in technology, and I am aspiring to have my company become the #1 boat portal in the world. I mean, I am not going to stop this company until that. And that means that really we have to learn a lot to grow this company into volume. You know, there's 150 or more countries with, you know, over a couple of million board members, and I have to reach them. We have to be the first company to reach them. Nobody else has.
Good luck, Lakmini. You surely are an inspiration that gender is not a barrier for anything, and that it's a never give up attitude that gets you everywhere. Thank you for joining us on Selinco Life. Let's talk.
With Selinco Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for your retirement today. Selinco Life, a relationship for life.
And we'll be back with dog trainer Melissa Stephen. We all love our fur babies, those four-legged doggies who give us unconditional love. But there are some do's and don'ts that most of us don't quite realize when we think of getting ourselves a pet. Here's dog trainer Melissa Stephen with guest stars Major and Mango with some of those on Singer Life in 60.
First of all, if you're going to pick a dog, I suggest you buy a puppy from an ethical breeder. Second of all, making sure you pick the right energy puppy for your lifestyle. So make sure you do lots of research before you decide which breed you want to get. Their energy needs to match your lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, if your dog likes to run marathons and you're a couch potato, that already is a bad fit. So don't do that. Understand what their needs are before you rescue or purchase a new pup in your life. Number 3, I would suggest before investing a lot of money in a puppy, I would much rather invest that money in the first year of the dog's life. Invest on a good training program so that in the future you can enjoy your pet for as long as their lifespan. Number 4, socialize them at a young age. So socializing them with people and other dogs and different environments is very important. Number 5, treat them as a family member. Make sure from day one you get them accustomed to your lifestyle and your routine. The don'ts, number 1, definitely don't buy your dog from a pet shop or a backyard breeder. Make sure you do your research. Number 2, don't expect your puppy to be perfect right away. Understand that what you put in is what you get out. Don't feed your dog foods that are unsafe for them. No salt, no sugar, and this is something very important. Do not get a dog if you're just going to keep them in a cage. You need to treat them like your family member. As you can see, they're always in the house with me. So don't get a dog if you don't have the time to spend with them, the time to teach them things, and if you're just going to chuck them in the cage, then get a soft toy. Bye guys!
There you go, just a bit of forethought before indulging in a pet, because a pet is an investment you make for life. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us on Singer Life in 60. So write to us on kaleidoscopeweekly1@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube link. And if you would like to see our past Let's Talk, Life in 60 or News Capsule clips, they're all on our playlists on our YouTube channel. And do click on the subscribe button on that channel, Kaleidoscope with Savithri Rodrigo, and press the bell icon to remain updated. I wonder what will be in store for us next week. With each day comes new things, but keeping safe is important. So wash your hands, wear your mask, and don't go roaming unless you have to. And while all this doom and gloom surrounds you, here's your Kaleidoscope takeaway. Laughter is a sunbeam of the soul.